Welcome to the Black Light Project. Come on and step into our black lives, and we gon' shine our lights bright. Our black lights, Black Light Project.
So Kyle, how you been, man?
I have been wonderful, Mo. It's a good time living.
I know it's been a while, bruh, since like COVID and all of that stuff happened and like not being able to see. Well, I did see you it was like a month and a half ago I was in this building.
Sure.
Okay. But then I've like noticed you on, I was gonna say Facebook, but social media and stuff like that. And you've been like, what is it, the Kermit the Frog? That's been Kyle. It's like, oh, you see the message, that's like you. But you've been really like doing a lot of advocating for people. I've seen you advocating for the church, for advocating for mental health. Has advocacy been something that you've done your whole life, or has it been something new that you've been doing? How did that come to be, I guess is the question.
So great question. So for me with advocacy, it just comes down to like being a human being, right? And I definitely say it's not something that I have been active in my whole life. I think that advocacy can be done well when you are stable enough to at least speak up for yourself. And I wasn't always in that space. And so as I have grown up, as I've matured, as I became an adult, or even in youth, when I was a youth and like in high school, I guess I can look back at a trajectory or a timeline of being able to speak. Gone through college and high school, I found that the more I learned about people and I found the words to say, like how can I not say something? You know, so it's been a journey, and I'm sure that I'll look back at my years now and say, man, I could have said so much more, could have done so much more, but I think that's a part of being a human being, you know, but when it comes like to people groups or who to advocate for, I'm just like, if you see a person who doesn't have a voice, then speak for them if you can. If you see a person who doesn't have an ability, but you do, then do, right? It's just, that's a part of being a human being.
It's funny that you mentioned that, and like just hearing about like your timeline of when you began to advocate and you recognizing when you didn't have a voice or you didn't know what to say and stand up and step up. How do you feel about that? Like, when do you say, okay, I need to like step away and remove myself from this conversation because they're just not getting it? There's nothing I can say.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question, and it comes with dynamics for me. I have never gotten tired or emotionally drained advocating for other people. Like, that's never happened to me, because I realize like I'm advocating for them. But the struggle for me is I have been emotionally drained and felt like I needed time away when I was advocating for myself and people refused to hear what I was saying. Because for me, there's a different type of hurt. It's not that I'm tired because I'm not getting a lot of sleep. It's not that I'm mentally drained because I'm thinking so much. It's that I'm speaking about something that I am personally experiencing and you choose not to see me, or you choose intentionally to shut me down. And so that's a mental and emotional hurt that is very different than, I know that there's a people group over there, like you said, with Black women. I know like there's a group of Black women, generally speaking, who are struggling through things, who society and Black men even are pushing down. I will stand and fight all day, because when someone goes against me advocating for them, they're not coming against me. But when I'm standing up for Black men, or I'm trying to say, hey, Black men are not monolithic, or we have this broad dynamic, and people choose to not hear me, they are denying me. And so there's a different type of fight, you know, and as I'm a dad, and so it's kind of like, I will fight to the death for my children. Like, I'm never going to stop fighting, but I might get tired of fighting for myself.
So yeah, what area would you say you advocate for the most, to give your most energy?
Yeah, so great. Oh man. So I would say that's a difficult question to kind of zone in on, play on words with Sydney's podcast, right? So I'd say I would give a blanket statement of Black people. And within that, there's the subsets of men, women, children. Because I'm a firm believer that like I never want my advocating voice to be louder than the people group that I'm advocating for, you know? And I never want to bring in a narrative that they don't that they're not telling. And so I'm most aware of in terms of like people groups, I'm most aware of in terms of dynamics, the Black experience, right? And so while that doesn't mean, of course, that I'm not going to advocate for other people, I have a closer lens into Black spaces. So as I journey through life, you know, and as I have children and I'm serving people, connecting to people, yeah, I think it's difficult to meet a person who is in a space of need, socially, emotionally, whatever it may be, and not advocate for them to be elevated. Again, that should be a part of our humanity. That's the human experience. I see you not just in suffering, you know, because you have to be destitute for someone to advocate for you, but I see you in a space of need, and I might have a voice that could elevate and help out. So let me listen to you first and hear what your experiences are so that I can bring clarity and then promote that idea to others.
Bruh, I don't know what it is about art and coming to like art museums and stuff, but I always find myself like at least once or twice or something like that a year, like going to an art museum, looking at the art, dissecting it. But it just like, it brings me a lot of peace. I understand stuff a lot more, understanding or trying to understand the artist.
Okay, I think we're similar in that respect. When I think about art and look at art, I think about the mindset that people were in when they created a certain piece. Like, what were they thinking to bend this piece or paint it this way? And I kind of make up experiences, kind of put me in a mindset. Maybe they were thinking about this when they created this piece. So it's very relaxed and it's a mental escape for me, and I like it.
Bruh.
What you about to do?
Bruh. Can we please do this show?
Blocks?
But you're using them, you're building, it's good for your mental health.
Okay.
You just said that.
That
like,
makes
come
sense.
on, bruh.
I guess that makes sense.
All right, bet. But like speaking along the lines of like mental health,
Yeah.
what does mental health mean to you? And has there been a time in your life where you feel like you were in a bad place mentally?
Mental health for me is really something that we're talking about advocacy, is something that I advocate for myself. For me, being mentally healthy, it kind of makes you be your best self. So you asked me a time where I've kind of found myself struggling recently, and so for me, like in these last few years, I don't know who my biological father is. So for these last few years, it's been bothering me because I don't really know I know who I am, but I don't know that part of me. I have a whole set of siblings that I don't know anything about. And it's really been, you know, disturbing me mentally. I've kind of had to kind of pray and find, you know, different reasons for substantiating who I am, so I can kind of escape and think about something different, because that's really been bothering me these last few years or so about it.
So what do you do to get yourself then out of these like mental lows?
I think about all the people that I do have in my life. Like I already have 7 siblings by my mom. Like I have a whole lot of friends. So those are the things I'm like, even though I don't have this piece of my life filled in, I have all these other pieces filled in. So it's like art for me. It's like building a puzzle. So I'm missing one piece, but I have all these other pieces in place. And that's what really connects me and keep me from thinking about that.
Okay. So it comes in your head, then it leaves. You don't like focus on it or like anything like that.
Right.
Oh, that's what's up. Okay, because I was concerned for a quick second.
No, I'm good.
But you mentioned too that like you grew up in the church.
Yes.
Do you think the church and mental health have any sort of connection, or like what is your opinion in regards to like mental health in the church?
I do, and it's crazy that you asked me that question. Over the summer, I was in a spirituality class for my master's degree, and we had to make the connection of mental health and spirituality. And I commented that, you know, with religion, there are so many rules. And for people who don't measure up and meet those rules, they think they're failing. They think they aren't worthy of love. They think they, you know, aren't, you know, worthy of grace, and that affects them mentally. So it's important for me to kind of share that you're still loved. You're still going to be, who you are. This doesn't disqualify you from anything, and that is really important for me to get people to understand that just because you don't meet this part of the requirement doesn't disqualify you from being loved. You still have grace. You are still worthy, and that's just what it is.
Do you think the church and mental health have any sort of connection, or like, what is your opinion in regards to like mental health in the church?
I do, and it's crazy that you asked me that question. Over the summer, I was in a spirituality class for my master's degree, and we had to make the connection of mental health and spirituality. And I commented that, with religion, there are so many rules, and for people who don't measure up and meet those rules, they think they're failing. They think they aren't worthy of love. They think they, aren't, worthy of grace, and that affects them mentally.
I like how you mentioned that, and then also I love the fact that I'm attending a church that actually has like counseling. So they have like a whole counseling wing. So if you have any issues that you're dealing with and stuff, you can pick up the phone, call the church. Hey, I need to speak with somebody that can help me.
Right.
And then we'll provide you with someone to do that. And I do think like more churches need to do that stuff, man.
And more churches need to perpetuate the need for people to have a therapist. And I think that's a lot part of that's missing in the church as well. I can go on and on.
But it made me think more on gospel and stuff now. I'm thinking like with these blocks, I'm like, build me up till I overflow.
It's definitely fill me up.
But bruh, like that's what I was thinking, man. Don't come for me.
It's definitely fill me up. But I ain't gonna hold it against you.
Okay. Cause I was about to say, just like Vicky said, she don't need nobody else, and you say you need help. That Joan right there needs some help, bruh.
I was told that I'm one of the most divisive people in the city because I was advocating for Black Christians, right?
KDJ?
Yeah, shocking, right? Right, I love this thing, I love people, I'm here for all it. But when you don't just focus on the show up moment of unity, but focus on why unity isn't the norm, that means you are going to be talking about things that rub people wrong because you're talking about the things that separate people. And so those who either are okay with the separation or disagree about why the separation exists, they are not going to like that. But here's the, I had to remind myself that this one person saying this is not the sum total of all the people who are reading and all the people who I'm engaging with. And that reminds me that I can keep going on because I was also messaged, because I was on the social media interaction, I had conversations with people who encouraged me after that. And so those are moments of joy. I'd say my family, like they are dope.
That was gonna be one area.
Listen, I have the most amazing wife, she's so dope. Okay, so she works from home with our photography and videography business. And so a lot of times she's at the computer just editing and stuff. And so the way our house is set up, like when I walk in the living room, I can see her at her desk and all that stuff. And like when she leans over, like she'll be behind the computer just kind of working, and it's the most precious thing to me. But she'll lean over and be like, hey. Like it just like something about her doing that, taking a pause from her stuff to like just kind of talk to check in, all that stuff. I don't know, it just like that's love. Oh, I love it. My kids, Kendall and Olivia, when they are super excited to see me, like I'm out at, like doing work at the church or doing work at different events and stuff like that, and I come home to these precious little girls, these little queens who are like, for me, just everything, you know, and they think I'm dope. Like right now, they're 73. So,
He said right now.
Right now, they think I'm amazing, and then they call me their best friend and stuff. Like that's, it's rejuvenating, you know. So I love that. For me, my home is a place of peace. I find joy in my friends. You know, I love relationships. I love people, and so sometimes it's like I call it the ministry of presence. You know, like you don't have to necessarily sit.
I like that.
Like you just kind of sit there and like. I saw a tweet and it was like, hey, I just want to find some people I can be bored with. And like truly, like there's nothing like sitting down on the couch just watching TV, just eating in the same space, you know, being in the office with who I'm doing work. Like that kind of stuff brings joy to me, because for me, my friends and my community really do like not only set a foundation, but they also like build me up. And so relationship to me is, I don't know how to do well without relationships. So I'm intentional about finding healthy, good relationships so I can be well.
Joy is an underlying theme there. Like love and joy is underlying. And it's like if you work on those things intrinsically within yourself, you'll find that you'll see that in your life. So if you focus on working on yourself and becoming this joyful individual, because Kyle, you are like the poster child for Black Boy Joy. Like
It's a good time
you see Black Boy Joy is Kyle in his beard. But like if you focus on developing those within yourself and you focus on that love and developing yourself to become a better person, you'll tend to see that in the life around you. And it won't be like this negative life. You'll find joy even in the like small moments and stuff. And I think that's like a really good quality that you have.
Well, thanks, friend.
It's actually like interesting because out of all the pictures and that have been placed in town, yours is the one that I see the most. I just see it so much. You just smiling, looking to the sky.
Yeah, I'm just
like that. What is that song? It's like a what is it? Sound of Earth of Sound or something like that. Is as long as you keep your head to the sky.
Oh,
and I feel like that's what it reminds me of. For real.
It reminds me kind of like the you know the Batman Batman signal. But no,
So
it's kind of like
that's you calling who? Yourself to the city, or like?
it's kind of like me watching over the city, like the library. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you're like a watchkeeper.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guarding the books, you guarding Rocky Mount, you guarding the people.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Okay.
There's levels to it.
Okay, I understand.
levels.
I understand, and that's like kind of like, well, you guarding the people is kind of like what you do at work too, kind of where you're like advocating for the students, you're there for them, you're supporting them, you're like leading them.
Right. So I work at ECU Student Affairs, specifically student engagement and student involvement, and I'll be moving into Greek life in January. And my whole thing is basically advocating for the students, making sure that they're getting involved, getting engaged, because statistics show that students who get engaged within the first 4 months, they can pretty much have a successful college career. So my whole job and my whole thing is to make sure that students see ways that they can get involved through student organizations, campus activities, service in the community, and basically advocating for the students to show up and be in the front row of their college experience. So
That's interesting because when people normally hear advocating for someone, they think of like, okay, race relations, and
Right.
you're advocating for those that are being marginalized in
or like
society.
a victim's advocate or something like that.
Yeah, but working at schools and you're advocating, like, or working at a college and advocating for a student looks totally different. And the word has like a different connotation.
Yeah.
So it seems like you're more so not saying like, hey, this is a group of people that are being marginalized, but you're more so saying, hey, this is an area in your life that you're not living to your best ability,
Right.
so I'm here to like help you do that.
Okay,
So it's like you're like a life coach kind of.
Yeah, it's
but
like
for
it's like a guide. So I'm like a guide for them to kind of find who it is that they are while they're in college, whether that's through leadership activities, joining a fraternity or sorority, or just having a campus job and just advocating for them to show up and be all that they can be in those 4 or 5 years. So that experience can kind of translate into their adult experience after they get out of college.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Now, not even does, but where in this advocacy for these students do you find your most joy?
Where do I find my most joy in advocating for the students? When I can see, so picture a light bulb coming on. So when I can physically see the light bulb coming on for them, like, so this is why you're doing this. That's when I get my most joy, is when they connect and when they realize that this is what I'm actually, because some students don't know that you're doing what you're doing until a certain time has passed. So I get the most joy in kind of seeing the light come on for them, and they're kind of connecting my experience with their experience. That I get the most joy in seeing their face lights up. Yeah.
That's real good, man. And do you find yourself using your story a lot to create those aha moments for the students, or
Yes.
establishing relationships with them?
So, like being a first generation college student, that's the easy connection point for some students, most students, because most students are first generation college students. So having that aspect and the ability to connect that with them, it kind of makes it easier for me to develop that network and that connection.
That's real good, man. So, where in your life, not just in the school, because I get that working at ECU, but beyond there, where do you find your most joy? Like, what brings you the most joy?
What brings me the most joy is actually like making people, and it hasn't always been this way. I just realized that it's really what it has, but just making people like laugh and kind of making a space where people can be their authentic selves. My supervisor gonna ask me, why didn't you check my email last night? Because you sent it last night. I'm off work at 5 p.m. I don't check email when I'm off work. I don't get paid for that. I will see it the next day. No restrictions, no contrition, just people just being their jovial selves. I find the most joy in doing that. So whatever it is, if they're laughing, if I'm able to connect with the person for them to speak authentically about something, share their most vulnerable parts of their life, I get the most joy out of that.
Okay. So, as you already know from previous segments, I do this thing where I like pull a question out of like my hat of questions.
Okay.
And I haven't used this question yet, so I figured I'd throw it your way.
Okay.
And the question is, if you could go back in time and do one situation over again, or live a specific time over again, when would that be and what would the situation be?
Wow, you got me on that one. About 15 years ago. And so I'm coming from the store. I'm on got Koki Road. So I'm coming from the store. I'm going back home. I had rode my sister's bike because I went to go get these dollar cookies. And so there were some guys in the neighborhood that had a problem with me. So I'm driving the bike back down the hill, and so I heard one of the boys say, "Hey, we want to fight." So I turn around, and when I turn around, I got hit by a car, and the car knocked me off the bike and onto the sidewalk. And the guy got out of the car, ran and gave me $20 and drove off. I got up like nothing was wrong until I got around the corner and it hit me that I got hit. And I started crying. I was on my sister's bike, but I didn't tell her that he gave me $20. So I think I wouldn't turn around. I think I would keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you injure yourself?
I didn't injure myself at all.
I would do that over again, just like you're saying, because you're supposed to like poop on yourself and pee on yourself, because they said when you do that, you get more money.
Listen.
And did the guy get charged? Like, you ain't get tagged?
I was glad he gave me $20 so I can go get me some more. Look, when he hit me,
you thought cookies.
I saw my cookies just flying everywhere. And so I'm just like, so he gave me $20, so I was able to go get some more cookies, because growing up without money, $20 to me was like rich then. I ain't telling anybody about it. My sister's bike was been on up. I didn't even care. So
now, because this situation it's quite interesting, I gotta ask. So what happened? You go around the corner, you start crying. You left the bike there.
No, I put the bike back in the yard.
So you were like at your house almost.
At my house almost. I was almost there.
And now your mom didn't ask about the bike. What happened with the bike, baby?
My mom didn't care.
Oh. And now what happened with the folks that was about to jump you?
They just saw I got hit, so I guess they just say, hey,
they was like,
he got what's coming to him. He got what was coming to him. So, yeah.
And I thought me riding my bike and flipping over my bike handles was something, but I guess it sparked the bike memory for you.
It sparked the bike memory.
I guess, and that's a lot worse than like just flipping and chipping my tooth. Your story is.
I got hit by a car.
But you did come up $20 though.
$20. And I was able to get me some more cookies.
And you said you would go back on that situation. Why now?
So I would, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't turn around.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have got
But
hit.
why wouldn't you? To not
So,
get hit. But then
not
you
get hit.
you wouldn't have had the $20.
But I would still have my bag of cookies that I initially had in the first place.
So it's about the cookie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I think that's been the funniest one, like segment that I've done
And
so
see,
far.
you already know I'm here to provide the laughter.
Yes, it brings us joy.
Full circle.
I appreciate it.